Good afternoon, everybody. I wear two hats at the moment. I work as the Provost's visiting professor in TinyML, Tiny Machine Learning at Imperial College. I just started 2 weeks ago at the Department of Computing, and also I'm a professor of pervasive computing and head of smart sensing lab at Nottingham Trent University. That's in Nottingham. What I do, I usually build technologies to solve real-world problems, very often in healthcare, but I also work in other sectors such as defense and security, crime prevention, open spaces, technologies for open spaces, and so on. Over the past years, I have managed to be involved in many organizations, like, for example, Alan Turing Institute, where I lead NTU University Network. I was one of the top 50 women in engineering by Women in Engineering Society 2022. I'm part also of HDR UK Midlands. I work actively with an organization called TinyML, Tiny Machine Learning Foundation, where we try to promote the use of small devices that can process AI in order to provide AI services where the users need it. Like, for example, tiny wearables, tiny healthcare devices, and so on. And also we have set up a number of test beds projects that are deployed and used by actual users in the real world. I'll talk slightly about one of them. And also I set up recently an initiative called AI for East Midlands, trying to bring various universities from East Midlands to work together in order to support the local communities using AI to solve local problems. So what I'll talk about today is slightly some background about the work that we do, and it's linked to healthcare. And then I'll give some insights on some of the challenges that I face, but also some advice for the early career that are with us on how can you overcome similar kinds of challenges and how can you move forward to be successful with your career. So as I mentioned before, I'm a technologist, engineer, computer scientist. So I tend to try to use technology in order to solve real world problems. Each of our projects in the lab is linked to end user organizations, whether it's a hospital, whether it's the police services, whether it's a community service, and so on. We do work on the data collection aspects and the data analysis, and then the interventions and how can we solve a problem. And you can see here a selection of devices, tools, wearables that can collect data, process data on the spot. Like what I mentioned before, TinyML is a form of edge device, or a device, very, very small one, that can process data on the spot. And the reason why we like to use this in healthcare is that we could help in terms of protecting privacy, because the data that we process at the moment doesn't need to be shared. So raw data doesn't need to be shared. It dies as soon as we process it. And that's why it's very, very relevant to healthcare at the moment. I would like also to mention another area that I'm very active in. I don't know how many people from the attendees are familiar with social prescribing. Social prescribing aims at providing non-clinical services, such as, for example, support with community groups, or physical exercises, or supporting people who suffer from loneliness, and so on. So we've been working extensively with local communities, social prescribers, here in the East Midlands, but also around the UK, in order to find solutions using AI and tech in order to see how can we manage information and data and enable the social workers to work efficiently and safely. and also to be able to provide services to vulnerable people or people in society who are not able to access these services, and hopefully tackle some of the health inequality in society. So I don't work directly in terms of data and health inequality, but I try to build technology that can help people to be treated equal when it comes to healthcare. There's an interesting project that we worked on over the past few years, and it promotes community-based interventions, or if you can call it community-based social prescribing. So where we set up a gaming platform that promotes people to be physically active and to walk around green parks, to enjoy the scenery, but at the same time to interact with each others and to be able to link with their local environment, so everybody can win. It has an app, it has devices embedded in the environment, and as I said, the whole objective of this is really to try to support as many people as possible in their own local communities. And you could see here a link to the project, and you could download the application, but you have to play it locally. Like, for example, this is a screenshot from Rufford Country Park here in Nottingham. We also did similar setup at local mental health hospital, Highbury. They found it very, very useful to promote their patients to walk around the hospital on daily basis. You could see here an image showing some traces of users walking around the park, covering large area, and we counted their steps and so on. So it's a very interesting kind of experience for people to go around, enjoy the green space, but at the same time walk more and interact with communities. Now, that's briefly about what I do, but there are many other projects which require many hours. I will move on to talk a little bit about my journey. So I've been in academia for many years. I worked at many universities. I worked at Cambridge University, Nottingham, at NTU, now at Imperial College. I worked overseas and so on. And through my journey, I mean, I've been through up and downs all the time. Like, just to give you an example of what you see on the screen. For example, in 2022, I had rejections of everything at the same time. Nothing was successful at one point. And then in spring 2023, it was the complete opposite. Everything was like successful and so on. So, but I mean, there are lots of downs and few ups and so on. It's one of these things that sometimes makes you feel like, okay, I'm getting rejections. Especially in 2022, where I felt like, will I get any successful, I don't know, even papers, projects and things like that. And then, for example, you get some good news and you change your mind, think, okay, there are good things happening in the world. I had this award for top 50 women in engineering. Yesterday I had a rejection. Before that, last month I had some successful projects and so on. So it's you know, the movement between success and failure all the time. And along that journey, I had to deal with a great deal of inequality, especially that I'm one of the, like, I'm a woman in engineering, a Muslim woman. There are not many people like me in my environment. Like, for example, when I go to an event or a conference, it takes time to mix with people, to get, you know, to network. It's not as easy as, you know, as other people, because it takes time to people to know me and know my background and so on. But I try to turn this into more positive experience. So, for example, I often have to deal with little resources in order to achieve something. Making use of these little resources and try to make something out of it that can grow and then develop it further. I try to use any resource that is available to me, including, for example, social media, to extend my network. I try when I can to change the perception, because I don't think people sometimes avoid talking to people like me on purpose. Sometimes it could be that people are not aware or they don't know. So making people aware of what what capabilities that I can provide, what kind of about my ability and so on. Like, for example, if you follow me on Twitter, you'll see that I talk a lot about food, Syrian heritage, things that I do to show people that the things that I do on daily basis. But most importantly, resilience is something I really feel like that's one of my strengths. When I get these kind of rejections or challenges, I feel disappointed like everybody else, but then I bounce back. That's my strength. It might take me like a few minutes, it might take me a few hours to recover, and then I find it. I find that these challenges that give me strength, sometimes I feel like I feed from these challenges, from these struggles. But at the same time, in order to, at the end of the day, we are human. When we are, faced with these challenges, sometimes it's very hard to recover very, very quickly. So I have many hobbies, and I try to balance, my work life and so work and life at the same time. So lots of exercises, sports, food, even though I don't eat all the time. And gardening, planting, the balance between, working on proposals regularly, which take a lot of time, a lot of effort, working on papers and so on. And at the same time, trying to keep some time for myself where I could enjoy these activities and take my mind off. One important thing is that people who feel like isolated, or they are not engaged in the community, or they don't have the opportunity to showcase their work, they could try to connect with other people on social media as much as possible. I try to take every opportunity to showcase our work. For example, on LinkedIn, I'm sure that there are a few people who have seen my post about this event, or who have joined this workshop. Connections is very important, so people can see what we do and the quality of the work, and connect with us to offer opportunities in terms of collaboration and connections and so on. But most importantly, that sometimes we need to believe that we can succeed, even if other people around us told us, oh, you can't succeed, you will fail, and so on. Or maybe other people, for example, might not have the same passion for the same thing that we're trying to target. It's important that we believe that we can do it. One of the things that I feel like that I do that helped me in terms of being successful in many areas is that I take risk. But it has to be a smart kind of risk taking, not just random risk taking. By trying to see if there's like a specific opportunity coming from somewhere, and trying to see if I can do this, nobody else is doing it. Yes, it takes time, but then maybe I have a chance of being successful in this area. And also I try to challenge myself all the time, because I feel like I'm always critical of myself, whether when I don't do very well, or if I don't do it enough. So sometimes I tell myself is that, yes, I've done enough. I need to be content with what I have achieved so far. So it's a continuous struggle, not just with the outside world, but also internally. And finally, even though we all aim in academia, for example, to be successful in terms of publications or funding, or other aspects of academic life. But for me, it's the impact I create is what matters. how many people can I help? How can my research help people in my community, in my region, in my area? That's what matters. And that's how I measure my success. If I make bigger impact, that means I was successful. And by that, I finish my talk. I hope